How to read people without them knowing. Stoic Philosophy. Most people reveal everything about themselves without realizing it. Their fears, their insecurities, their intentions, their character. Not through words alone, but through small behaviors most people never notice. The Stoics understood something powerful. If you observe carefully instead of reacting emotionally, people will always reveal who they truly are. And in today's world, this skill is priceless. Because the person who understands human nature gains an advantage in every conversation, every relationship, and every situation. By the end of this video, you will begin seeing people differently. You will notice hidden emotions, hidden motives, hidden weaknesses, and hidden truths most people completely miss. And if you enjoy timeless wisdom, self-mastery, mental strength, and powerful Stoic lessons, subscribe to Focus and Conquer for more videos designed to sharpen your mind and strengthen your character. Now pay close attention. Because once you learn to observe people deeply, you can never unsee what they reveal. 1. Watch what people do when they gain nothing. Anyone can appear kind when there is something to gain. Anyone can act respectful when powerful people are watching. But character is revealed most clearly in moments where there is no reward. A wealthy businessman once visited a restaurant with several colleagues. Everyone treated him with respect because of his status and influence. But while others focused on impressing him, an elderly waiter accidentally spilled water near the table. Most people ignored the situation. One man quietly stood up, helped clean the mess, and treated the waiter with patience and dignity. The businessman later said something interesting. I learned more about his character in 30 seconds than I could have learned from years of conversation. That is how wise people observe others. Not through speeches. Not through appearances. But through behavior during ordinary moments. Watch how people treat workers, strangers, animals, people beneath their status. Because behavior without reward often reveals true character. The Stoics understood that virtue is not performance. It is consistency. A genuinely disciplined person behaves well even when nobody is watching. Modern society makes deception easier than ever. People carefully construct images online. They perform kindness publicly. They seek admiration constantly. But eventually, real behavior exposes everyone. Pay attention to small actions. The person who constantly interrupts others often values control more than listening. The person who mocks others constantly often hides deep insecurity. The person who only appears during successful moments often values benefits more than loyalty. Pause and ask yourself, who in your life behaves differently when there is nothing to gain? Who treats powerless people with respect? Who remains kind when no audience exists? Because hidden character always reveals itself through small moments. 2. Silence reveals more than questions. Most people talk too much. They reveal emotions impulsively. They explain themselves excessively. They speak before thinking. But Stoicism teaches the power of silence. Silence makes people uncomfortable. And uncomfortable people reveal themselves quickly. A young man once visited an older philosopher seeking advice about human behavior. The philosopher told him, "Spend 1 week speaking less and observing more." At first, the young man struggled badly. He constantly wanted to interrupt conversations, defend himself, and fill silence with words. But after several days, something surprising happened. He began noticing details he had missed his entire life. Nervous laughter. Forced confidence. Hidden resentment. False enthusiasm. He realized most people expose themselves while trying to hide. Because silence creates space for observation. Many people become nervous around silence, and immediately begin revealing information voluntarily. Notice this carefully. The person who speaks endlessly about success often craves validation. The person who constantly boasts may secretly feel inadequate. The person who becomes defensive instantly may be protecting insecurity. Even Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Wise people listen more than they speak. Modern society rewards noise. Everyone wants attention. Everyone wants to react instantly. Everyone wants their opinions heard. But observers gain knowledge that reactive people miss. A calm person in a room often learns more than the loudest person speaking. Pause for a moment and think. How much information have you missed because you were too busy talking? How often do people reveal themselves when silence appears? What would happen if you became more observant instead of more reactive? Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is absolutely nothing. 3. Watch how people react to other people's success. Jealousy reveals itself in subtle ways. Many people pretend to celebrate others while secretly resenting them. This is one of the easiest ways to read someone's inner world. A man once announced exciting news to a group of friends. He had finally achieved a major goal after years of struggle. Some friends reacted with genuine happiness. Others became strangely quiet. One friend immediately changed the subject. Another made sarcastic jokes. Another tried minimizing the achievement completely. In that moment, hidden emotions became visible. The Stoics understood that insecure people struggled to celebrate others sincerely because another person's success reminds them of their own dissatisfaction. Pay close attention to reactions when someone succeeds. Genuine people celebrate sincerely. Insecure people compare immediately. Sometimes jealousy appears as criticism. Sometimes as sarcasm. Sometimes as fake support hiding resentment underneath. Modern society intensifies this problem through endless comparison. People constantly compare lifestyles, achievements, relationships, and appearances. And comparison quietly poisons peace. A secure person understands something powerful. Another person's success does not reduce your potential. But insecure minds often treat life like competition. Watch carefully when good things happen to others. Who becomes supportive? Who becomes uncomfortable? Who disappears? People reveal hidden emotions most clearly during moments that are not about them. And often, jealousy speaks loudest through silence. 4. Observe people during difficult moments. Pressure reveals true nature. Anyone can appear calm when life feels easy. Anyone can appear kind when circumstances are comfortable. But difficult moments expose emotional discipline or emotional weakness. A captain once interviewed two young men for an important leadership position. Both appeared intelligent and confident. Instead of judging them immediately, he observed them during stressful situations. One became angry over small inconveniences. The other remained calm despite pressure. The captain chose the calmer man instantly. Later he explained why. A person who loses control during small problems will collapse during larger ones. That is profound wisdom. The Stoics constantly train themselves to remain emotionally steady during hardship because adversity reveals character. Watch how people behave during delays, during criticism, during failure, during frustration. These moments expose what comfort hides. The person who immediately blames others may avoid responsibility. The person who remains respectful during stress often possesses inner discipline. The person who explodes emotionally over small inconveniences usually lacks self-control internally. Modern life has made emotional reactions extremely common. People react instantly online. Instant anger. Instant outrage. Instant emotional explosions. But emotional impulsiveness creates weakness. A calm mind sees clearly. An emotional mind loses perspective. Even Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly not to become controlled by temporary emotions. Imagine carrying the burden of an empire and still prioritizing emotional discipline. That is strength. Now ask yourself honestly, how do people around you react under pressure? Who becomes wiser during difficulty? Who becomes destructive? Because adversity reveals people faster than comfort ever will. 5. Notice what people constantly complain about. Complaints often expose hidden priorities and weaknesses. People reveal their inner world through repeated frustration. A man once worked beside a coworker who complained constantly. The weather. The workload. Other people. The economy. Life itself. At first, the man thought his coworker simply had bad luck. But eventually he realized something deeper. The coworker carried negativity internally, so negativity appeared everywhere externally. Stoicism teaches that perception shapes experience. Some people see obstacles everywhere. Others see opportunities in the same situation. Pay attention to repeated complaints. The person constantly criticizing others may secretly dislike themselves. The person obsessed with status may deeply crave recognition. The person constantly complaining about unfairness may avoid accountability. Complaints reveal focus. And focus reveals mindset. This does not mean people should never express frustration. Even Stoics acknowledge pain and difficulty. But there is a difference between awareness and constant negativity. Modern society encourages endless complaining. People bond through negativity. They gather around outrage. They spread emotional chaos constantly. But wise observers notice patterns carefully. A grateful mind speaks differently than a bitter one. Pause for a moment and reflect. What do people around you complain about most? What does that reveal about their mindset? And what do your own complaints reveal about you? Because people unknowingly expose their inner reality through repeated words. 6. Watch their relationship with attention. Some people are addicted to attention. And attention addiction reveals insecurity more than confidence. A woman once entered every conversation needing to dominate it. She interrupted constantly. Redirected discussions toward herself. Needed validation from everyone around her. At first, people mistook her behavior for confidence. But eventually they realized the opposite was true. She feared being ignored because she depended emotionally on external attention. The Stoics warned against becoming controlled by praise or recognition. Because dependence on validation creates emotional instability. Observe people carefully. Who constantly seeks approval? Who changes personality depending on the audience? Who becomes uncomfortable when attention moves elsewhere? Secure people do not constantly demand visibility. Insecure people often crave attention because silence forces them to confront themselves. Modern culture rewards performance constantly. People compete for visibility online. They carefully construct identities for approval. They chase recognition from strangers. And many lose themselves completely in the process. A truly confident person does not need constant reassurance. They remain grounded internally. Even Seneca warned against becoming dependent on public admiration because public opinion changes constantly. Today people praise you. Tomorrow they criticize you. If your peace depends on attention, your peace will never last. Ask yourself carefully. Who around you constantly seeks validation? Who remains authentic regardless of attention? And how much of modern behavior is performance instead of authenticity? Because attention often reveals insecurity disguised as confidence. 7. Observe what people do when they think nobody notices. This is one of the greatest ways to understand character. What people do privately often matters more than what they display publicly. A young employee once stayed late cleaning part of the office after everyone had already left. Nobody asked him to do it. Nobody praised him for it. Nobody even noticed at first. But the company owner had quietly observed everything. Years later, that same employee became one of the most trusted leaders in the company. Why? Because integrity reveals itself through unseen actions. Stoicism teaches that character is built privately before it appears publicly. Watch carefully. Does a person remain honest when dishonesty would be easier? Do they remain disciplined without supervision? Do they respect others when there is no benefit attached? Anyone can perform goodness publicly. But hidden behavior exposes true values. Modern society focuses heavily on appearance. People care more about looking good than becoming good. But appearance eventually collapses under pressure. True character survives even in darkness. The person who remains disciplined alone possesses real strength. The person who remains respectful privately possesses real integrity. Pause and reflect honestly. Who are you when nobody watches? Who are the people around you when attention disappears? Because eventually, private habits become public reality. 8. Pay attention to emotional triggers. Every person has emotional triggers. And those triggers reveal hidden fears, insecurities, and desires. A wise mentor once told his student, "If you want to understand someone deeply, observe what disturbs them emotionally." That advice changed the student's life. He began noticing patterns. Some people became furious when criticized. Others became defensive when ignored. Others became jealous when others succeeded. Each emotional reaction revealed something hidden internally. The Stoics believed emotional reactions often expose attachment. The person terrified of criticism may attach their identity to approval. The person obsessed with status may fear feeling insignificant. The person who reacts aggressively may secretly feel powerless internally. Modern people often hide emotions behind performance. But emotions leak through behavior eventually. Observe carefully. What makes people uncomfortable? What topics create defensiveness? What situations trigger emotional reactions instantly? These patterns reveal hidden truths words often conceal. Even Marcus Aurelius constantly reflected on his emotional reactions because he understood that self-awareness creates self-control. Most people never study themselves deeply. That is why emotions control them so easily. But observers notice everything. And once you begin observing emotional patterns carefully, human behavior becomes much easier to understand. 9. Notice consistency between words and actions. Words are easy. Anyone can promise loyalty. Anyone can claim discipline. Anyone can speak beautifully. But actions reveal truth. A man once had a friend who constantly spoke about ambition and success. Every conversation sounded impressive. But years passed and nothing changed. No action. No consistency. No discipline. Eventually the man realized something important. Some people love the image of growth more than the process of growth itself. The Stoics valued action over performance. A disciplined person does not constantly announce discipline. Their life reveals it naturally. Observe consistency carefully. Do people behave according to what they claim? Do their actions match their values? Do they remain reliable over time? Character is revealed through patterns, not isolated moments. Anyone can pretend briefly. But time exposes everyone eventually. Modern society rewards appearances heavily. People present idealized versions of themselves constantly. But observers focus less on words and more on repeated behavior. Because repeated actions reveal identity far more honestly than repeated promises. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, who consistently follows through? Who constantly speaks but rarely acts? And are your own actions aligned with the person you claim to be? Because eventually, actions speak so loudly that words become unnecessary. Most people move through life emotionally blind. They listen to words while ignoring behavior. They react emotionally instead of observing carefully. They trust appearances instead of patterns. But Stoicism teaches something different. Slow down. Observe deeply. Study behavior calmly. Because people reveal themselves constantly. Through silence. Through stress. Through jealousy. Through attention. Through repeated habits. The wise person learns to see beneath appearances. Not to manipulate others. But to protect their peace, sharpen their judgment, and understand human nature clearly. And perhaps the most important lesson is this. When you learn to observe others deeply, you also begin understanding yourself more honestly. Your own reactions. Your own weaknesses. Your own hidden patterns. That is where true wisdom begins. If this video helped you see people differently, subscribe to Focus and Conquer for more powerful Stoic lessons, mental strength teachings, and timeless wisdom designed to help you become calmer, wiser, and mentally unshakable. And remember, people may control their words, but their behavior always tells the truth.